We are here tonight to celebrate over 111 years of women's empowerment, celebrating women. And one of the things I think that we're in a moment of tremendous backlash and also tremendous opportunity. So I want to talk a little bit about engaging men and boys to support gender equality, because here's what I think we know. We know that we cannot fully empower women and girls without engaging boys and men. Period. We know this. There has never been a reform in history that women wanted that didn't require men's support. So the question, the vote? We need to engage men and boys, but we need to engage men and boys in a way that men and boys have never been engaged before, which is to say, this is not our movement. We are the gentleman's auxiliary of feminism. We are the followers in this movement, and that is not an easy position for men to be in. So first what I'm going to do, I'm going to just say a few words about why men should support gender equality. This one's easy, because it's right, because it's fair, because it's just, because it's democratic. We know this. Right? We know this. A really good example of that ethical imperative, it's right, it's fair, it's just, Justin Trudeau, one of my heroes. Justin Trudeau, when he was elected Prime Minister in Canada, do you remember 2015? The next day he named his cabinet, and half of the cabinet was women. So all these journalists said to him, "Why did you do that?" And his answer was, "Because it's 2015. Because it's normal." So since we know that gender equality is right and fair and just and democratic, why don't men support it? I'm going to point to two obstacles to engaging men for gender equality, and then I'm going to talk about the opportunity I think we have right now. When you are having conversations with men, a lot of men tend to support, think about gender equality. Sometimes, I don't know if you've had this experience, but sometimes we men experience like International Women's Day is sort of like be nice to the ladies' day. Like, fortunately, we get 364. Other days, we'll be nice to you today. But I'll bet many of the women in this room have had this experience. You know how you're talking about feminism or gender equality to a man, and you see the light bulb go off over his head, and he then begins to mansplain to you your oppression? He sees his relationship to gender equality something like the cavalry coming to the rescue of damsels in distress. Thank you so much for bringing this to our attention, ladies. We'll take it from here. This often results in a syndrome that I like to call premature self-congratulation. Now, so I want to tell you two quick stories about why men don't engage, and then make us a couple of points about why they should. And it's really easy, because there's two words in the phrase gender equality, and there's two obstacles to engaging men. One, gender. We don't even know we have one. Honestly, most men don't realize that gender is as important to us as women understand it is to them. Gender remains invisible. And I'm going to tell you a very quick story. When I was a graduate student, years and years ago, it could not happen today. I was in a little group, graduate students. We decided to have a study group around feminist theory. So 11 women and me would get together every week. We would read some text. We would talk about it. During one of our meetings, I witnessed a conversation between two women that changed my life forever. One of the women was white, and one was black. The white woman said, this is the part that's going to sound really anachronistic now. The white woman said, all women have the same experience as women. All women face the same oppression as women, and therefore all women have an intuitive solidarity or sisterhood. And the black woman said, I'm not so sure. Let me ask you a question. So the black woman says to the white woman, when you wake up in the morning and you look in the mirror, what do you see? And the white woman said, I see a woman. And the black woman said, you see, that's the problem. Because when I wake up in the morning and I look in the mirror, she said, I see a black woman. To me, race is visible. But to you, race is invisible. You don't see it. And then she said something startling. She said, that's how privilege works. Privilege is invisible to those who have it. It is a luxury, I will say, to the white... So it's a luxury, I would say, to the white people sitting in this room not to have to think about race every split second of our lives. Privilege is invisible to those who have it. Remember, I was the only man in this group. So when I witnessed this, I kind of went, oh no. And somebody said, what was that reaction? And I said, well, when I wake up in the morning and I look in the mirror, I see a human being. I'm kind of the generic person. That was the moment I became a middle-class white man. That class and race and gender were not about other people, but they were about me. That's the first obstacle. We must make gender visible to men, which means making privilege visible. That's not so easy. Second story, very quickly, is around the word equality. Many men, when we hear the word equality, we think it's a zero-sum game, and that if women win, men are going to lose. You've heard this. I started my most recent book. It's called Angry White Men. It was published in 2013. That is, the name Trump does not appear anywhere in the book. But my first encounter with these angry white men was on a TV talk show opposite 4 white men who believe that they, white men, you've heard this before, are the victims of reverse discrimination in the workplace. So the 4 men, the title of the show, the reason I'm telling you this, the title of the show was a quote from one of these men. And the quote was, "A black woman stole my job." These men all told their stories. I was qualified for job, qualified for promotion, didn't get it, really angry. Then it's my turn to speak. And I said, I have just one question for you guys. And it's about the title of the show, "A Black Woman Stole My Job." Actually, it's about one word in the title. I want to know about the word "my." Where did you get the idea it was your job? Why isn't the title of the show, "A Black Woman Got the Job" or "A Black Woman Got a Job"? Because without confronting men's sense of entitlement, we will never understand why so many men resist gender equality. Look, we think this is a level playing field. So any policy that tilts it even a little bit, we think, oh my God, water's rushing uphill. It's reverse discrimination against us. So listen up, Denmark. You're part of this. White men in Europe and the United States are the beneficiaries of the single greatest affirmative action program in the history of the world. It is called the history of the world. So that's why men resist. So we have to talk about entitlement. We have to talk about that invisibility of privilege. Now, we are living in a moment, the Me Too moment right now, which is quite extraordinary. It is extraordinary for one simple reason. Women have been talking about what happens to them in the workplace for decades. What makes this moment different for us, I believe, is that for the first time, women are being believed. Not only believing each other when they talk about it in private, but being believed publicly. This is new and revolutionary. So I'm going to just make a couple of suggestions very quickly about how men can respond to this. Because this is what I hear when I'm in workplaces. I hear men say, I don't know what to say anymore. I don't want to say the wrong thing. Tell me what to say. I feel like I'm walking on eggshells. Now, I think that's actually good news for 2 reasons. Number one, I think it means basically that most men don't want to be jerks. This is good news. Most men do not want to be jerks. We don't want to say the wrong thing. We don't know what it is yet, but we don't want to say the wrong thing. We don't want to make people uncomfortable. That's a good start. The second thing is we feel uncomfortable. Good, sit with it. We have felt so fucking comfortable for so long. So here's my advice. Here's my advice to the men in the room. All right? First, so I'm going to say 3 things. First of all, since women are speaking and they are being believed, let us listen to Oprah. The thing that men must do right now is shut the fuck up. Let women speak. Listen with an open heart, without defensiveness to the experience that they are now talking about. But more than that, when women speak, we have to listen. But we also have to start the conversations with other men. We have to start supporting one another. We have to learn how to challenge one another. This should not be all on women. Currently, to talk about harassment in the workplace, this is entirely on women's shoulders. We have to take some of that weight. This is our job as well. Gender equality, and the evidence on this is mountainous. Gender equality is one of the best things that ever happened for men. Gender equality, more gender equal countries are happier. More gender equal companies are more profitable. More gender equal relationships are happier relationships. So we know this. The evidence is there. So we men have to start supporting one another in this. And secondly, we have to learn how to challenge one another. I'm going to close just with a very quick line that I've learned from Gloria Steinem. She always says that the human race is like a bird with two wings. If one of those wings is broken, no one can fly. Thank you.